Are you tired of landing in rural areas only to get hardly any loot? Do you wish that you could have some kind of foolproof guide to land in a high-risk zone and come out with the loot and a few kills to match, even with your potato aim? In this Limestrike guide, I'm going to show you how to strategically master the shelter and give you an added strat to maximize your loot gains. So, let's get started. First off, you'll need to learn the entrances and how they connect. There's 4 entrances: north, south, east, and west. Or as I like to call them, 1, 2, 3, and 4. I call them this because that's the way the tunneling system works down there, as you'll see in a second. Now you'll want to aim for number 1, as most players pick entrance 3 or 4. This will give you the most time to gather loot before contact. If you see an enemy landing at number 1 first, go to entrance 4 as this is the furthest away. Here's a visual guide for what way to go depending on where the enemy goes. But in this guide, we'll assume the enemy is in entrance 4 and we will go down entrance 1. So, first up is room 1. It's very spacious and it's got a load of loot. You'll often find at least a shotgun here, which is fine for this strat, but if you come across any sort of automatic rifle, then you're sorted. Armour up as soon as you can, move quickly, as you'll want to get the jump on your enemies. Anything extra like scopes, you'll either find on their dead bodies or can come back for once it's clear. Alternatively, if you're paired or in a squad, they can clean up after you. Your primary focus is to get to the prime location, which we'll cover after this quick walkthrough. This is room 2, or as I like to call it, the smash and grab room. Depending on which entrance your foes have gone through, you may want to consider a quick smash and grab before you head back to the prime spot behind us, or you can wait if you have enough loot for a few distant kills. So on to room 3. Now this is where the majority of people will come in, as I mentioned before. It's got a lot of loot spawns, but you should be fine because we've got a plan. Also, you'll often hear gunfire from here in room 1, but don't panic, that's normal, because as I said before, people tend to go in room 3 and 4, which are connected by a wall to room 1. Now last but not least, there's room 4, the other entrance you'll consider going into if need be. As I said before, it's at the end of the path as you can see on screen, which makes it a prime secondary location for going in, but leaves you vulnerable from rooms 1 to 3 when they eventually come down. But you can ambush them all the same if you're lucky. So that's the layout. As you can see, room 1 has the longest stretch before another room, so that gives you loads of time to ambush your opponents. Talking of ambush, let's move on to the main strat. So, as I said, this part of the shelter is the key point for this strat. You'll want to get to this room as fast as possible and wait on this corner. Your enemies will loot rooms 2, 3 and 4 and head this way 9 times out of 10, so you don't have to make any real effort at all. When an enemy comes, you peek out and pop him completely unaware and steal his loot. In duos and squads, you can use your teammates to watch your back for potential flankers. Mowing down 2 people is pretty easy with full auto, even with potato aim. But for parties of 3 or more, you may find that 2 people popping out works better. But with a few tries, you'll be able to master this manoeuvre and get a load of good loot. Obviously, in first-person service this is harder, but not impossible. You'll just need to listen for the movement or prepare an ambush in the room, which is a risky but viable option. So, now you've got all the loot available to you here, if the zone is far from you at this point, you'll want to find a vehicle and drive onwards with your nice loot. But if the zone is kind and encircles you and the prison, then you'll want to carry on out of entrance 2 and onto the prison. When you get to the prison, you're going to want to come at it from the mountains in the south, as seen here. Most people come up here and go up the Lion King mountain, which is great, but makes you a massive target. I prefer to come to this spot I call the Crow's Nest. As you can see, it's shaped like a nest and provides a lot of coverage. All you need to do here is wait it out. By this point there'll be 1 person or squad left, so you just need to locate them. Most of the time they're in the main building camping it out, so you just need to wait for 1 poor sucker to come to the roof and you can take him out nicely. Sometimes you'll encounter players on the east mountainside attempting to kill the prisoners too, but if you spot them first, you can kill them. Most of those players will be following another strat I've seen, where you loot houses close to the prison, so you should have no problem overpowering them with your superior loot. After you've killed everyone at the prison, collect your prize and prepare for endgame. One of my favourite tips for endgame, which has worked more often than not, is drive in at the second most smallest circle and get to the centre. Get out quickly, go prone, and crawl your way to a tree or at least away from your car. Now at this point you can wait for everyone else to die and hope you're left with one other person, or you can use your silenced weapons if you have any to take out the opposition and collect the chicken dinner. Sneaky movement is key for this maneuver. Try not to take a shot unless you're sure you can finish the job. That's all for now. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to leave a like, and if you have any questions or suggestions, leave them down below. Thanks for watching guys, see you next time.